Okay, hello, good morning, class. Hello, good morning, class. Can you hear me?
Good morning, madam.
Okay.
Good morning, madam.
All right. So it's unfortunate we couldn't meet yesterday because I'm not feeling that well. But then we cannot miss the class. So we are making up for yesterday's loss. Today, last week we ended the electronic banking technologies by looking at the other channels. We looked at telephone banking, mobile banking, internet banking, branch networking, etc. And so we are done with the e-banking technologies. Today, we are going to begin with electronic commerce. Electronic commerce, because like I told you from the beginning, the course is divided into two main parts. One part looks at electronic banking, whilst the other part looks at electronic commerce. So for the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be looking at electronic commerce. I keep on admitting your colleagues, so if you hear any breaks hearing and there, don't worry, I have to be pausing and admitting your colleagues to join the class. All right, so electronic commerce. Today, we are going to begin with the overview of electronic commerce, and we will consider a lot of things under electronic commerce, such as what electronic commerce means, the various divisions of electronic commerce, the history of electronic commerce. We will as soon as you join, please mute your microphone. Mute your microphone as soon as you join. All right, so we will also consider electronic business. We will look at the differences and similarities between electronic commerce and electronic business. Then we will look at other important things that concerns electronic commerce and electronic business. Okay, so now there's this video I'd like you to watch because the video has something to do with Jack Ma, and you know Jack Ma happens to be the founder of the Alibaba Group. And there's this video about his life, and it is so motivational. So I would like us to watch this video before we proceed to today's class. I'm coming. Oh, I ended the video. Oh, okay, let me just replay it. Pause. Can you see the video?
Yes, please.
All right, so I'm going to start. All right, I'm going to start playing. So follow. Okay, so that is a story of Jack Ma. I'm sure all of us know about Jack Ma because he happens to be the founder of one of the biggest e-commerce place or marketplace in the world. That is the Alibaba Group of, Alibaba Group. He happens to be the founder. The video we just watched, teaches us about how he struggled in life. So many rejections he had, but none of the rejections, demotivated him to give up. He never gave up. He pursued his dream because he knew that education was the key to his success. And he never gave up on education until he was able to reach his goal. Even when he started the Alibaba business, that is the online business, and at a point in time, he nearly went bankrupt. He never gave up. He sought for help from his friends who invested in his idea, and now Alibaba is one of the biggest e-commerce marketplace in the world. So his story is motivation to us today, but not only that, it also has something to do with the topic of the day. That is why I chose this particular video for this class. So let's move on to today's class. The topic for the day is overview of electronic commerce. And when we talk about electronic commerce is simply the buying and selling of products or services over electronic systems. The buying and selling of products and services over electronic systems. I don't want you to think that e-commerce is only about selling over the internet or selling via the internet. No. E-commerce takes place on the internet. That is one of the mediums or channels of electronic commerce. Not only that, we have other computer networks or softwares which also allows e-commerce to take place. In fact, we will learn today that before the birth of the internet, e-commerce was already in place. So e-commerce is something that has been with us since, a very long time ago. Now, e-commerce goes beyond the mere buying and selling of online of products online. It goes beyond that, and we'll see that very soon, because everything that goes into developing of the product, marketing of the product, selling, delivering, etc., has to do with electronic commerce. So e-commerce is very broad. E-commerce is very broad. And not only are we looking at e-commerce today, we will also move on to e-business very soon. And we'll see that e-business is actually the broader picture. E-commerce falls within e-business. We will consider that very soon. But one thing that you need to know about electronic commerce is the fact that electronic commerce has to do with buying and selling with the aid of the internet or other computer networks. Now, if you look at the amount of trade that is conducted electronically over the years, there has been much growth, much growth. Let's say 10 years back, a lot of people were not into e-commerce. In Ghana, our e-commerce market is very young. I mean, we went into full e-commerce not so long ago, but in the advanced countries, they have been doing e-commerce from so long ago. And we copied from them. I mean, we learned from their experiences and we followed their footsteps. And now this country has also, experienced its fair share of electronic commerce, which is indeed helping us a lot. Now, there are, should I say, 5 main divisions of electronic commerce. 5 main divisions of electronic commerce. We have the first division called e-tailing. The second division is market research. The third is electronic data interchange, EDI for short. The fourth is email, fax, and internet telephony. And the fifth and last one is the security of business transactions. Now, there's a lot of controversy, over e-commerce and e-business as to which one outweighs the other or which one is the biggest. But now a lot of research has shown that e-business is the broader picture. But when we talk about e-commerce as a subject, e-commerce is made up of these 5 main divisions that we are going to see. But these 5 main divisions too can be found under e-business because, as I've already told you, e-commerce is an aspect of e-business. So whatever is in e-commerce here can also be found in e-business as well. Now let's take the divisions one after the other, beginning with e-tailing. E-tailing. Now e-tailing, the full meaning of e-tailing is electronic retailing. Electronic retailing. Electronic retailing, or what we also call the virtual storefront, the virtual storefront or the virtual mall. These are the popular. Whose background is having so much noise? Vicentia, I told you that as soon as you join the class, you mute your microphone. Okay, so e-tailing or virtual storefront or the virtual mall is the first division of electronic commerce we are going to consider. Now, e-tailing is simply the buying and selling aspect of electronic commerce. That is the buying and selling via internet or other computer networks. This aspect of electronic commerce is called e-tailing. E-tailing. Now, in today's modern world, I'm sure most of us are into e-commerce in one way or the other. You know that on daily basis, people do buy and sell online. There's a lot of buying and selling that takes place online. If you need something, you just go to maybe Jumia or you go to Amazon or Alibaba or any place or any virtual mall at all, and then you place your order. But when you place the order, we know that the order cannot, or the items that you purchase at the virtual malls cannot be taken from, that you cannot transport it through your laptop or your computer or any smart device that you happen to be using at the time. You can't do that. Transportation of the items that you purchase at the virtual mall is done physically. So normally we say that e-tailing involves the transportation of physical items because it is not only about buying or selling on the virtual front, but also how to transport the goods from whichever country or whichever store that you've bought from to your warehouse or your premises is also part of e-tailing. So e-tailing is not all about buying and selling via electronic means, but it also involves the transportation of the items bought online. Now, e-tailing offers a lot of benefits. Notable among them include, direct retail shopping, the fact that you have access to so many virtual stores or virtual malls you can select from. I mean, you can actually compare prices of the various stores and then you select which one you are comfortable with the price, and then you pay for it and the items will be delivered to you. E-tailing offers 24-hour availability in the sense that it doesn't matter whether it is day, whether it is night, in the afternoon, whether it is raining or it is whatever, you can still have access to the virtual mall. So it offers a 24-hour availability. There's also a global reach. A global reach in the sense that it doesn't matter whichever part of the world you find yourself. Once you have access to the internet, you can have access to the virtual malls. You can place whatever order you want, and then the goods will be delivered to your final destination. There's also ability to interact. Of course, sometimes when you are buying some items online and you want to know more about the product, there's this customer service personnel you can contact. So most of the websites have their customer personnel service, their numbers online, or it can be a live chat. You can chat with them to know more about the product or be clarified of some things that maybe you are not so clear of. You can talk to the customer service personnel and they will help you out. There's also this admission thing is really okay. All right, so okay, so e-tailing is a very important aspect of e-commerce. And in most cases, most people think that e-commerce is all about e-tailing. In fact, most people actually think that e-commerce is all about e-tailing. But e-tailing, which is the buying and selling aspect of e-commerce, is just one part of e-commerce, meaning we have other parts. And that is why we are looking at the division of e-commerce. So aside the e-tailing, okay, all right, let me talk about this. E-tailing has been there for so long. That is the buying and selling aspect of electronic commerce. It's been there for so long. When e-commerce has actually, took a big leap with the introduction of the internet, in the year 1997, Dell Computers happened to be one of the first companies to have taken the risk to do online business. So they reported orders of $1 million per day in 1997. And most companies who were afraid to go into e-commerce, by the year 1999, a lot of them had gone into e-commerce after looking at the experiences of those who first went into it, and they were reporting billions of dollars as revenues. So e-tailing is actually a very important aspect of e-commerce. Now, the second division of e-commerce is market research. Market research. Now, market research aspect of e-commerce is also a very important aspect, because without market research, Without market research, most organizations will find it difficult meeting the needs of their customers, because you need market research to help you identify whether you are able to satisfy the needs of your customers or not, whether you are actually producing to suit their taste. You cannot know all this information unless you have done market research. So market research aspect of e-commerce is a very, very important aspect. And it has been around also for a long time. Most companies are into market research. Most electronic commerce companies do, have market research aspect or do utilize market research aspect of e-commerce. Sometimes when you buy products of companies, they will give you a code to go online and then register the products. The purpose for registering the products online is for them to have access to your personal information. So as you go online to fill, in order to register the products, you also give data of yourself to the company. Now, for instance, the company may wish to know the age group you fall. Let's talk about maybe, let's say it's an IT company. Let's use Dell. Let's use, for instance, let's say that, for instance, Dell wants to know the age group that patronize their laptops a lot. So Dell, as part of their product registration, ask questions concerning the age group of the people who have bought their product. So as people register the products online and they fill their ages, Dell will be able to, at the end of the day, collate all the data and then do some analysis on the data to be able to determine the particular age group that normally patronizes their product. Once they are able to know the age group, they will be able to know how to best produce the product to suit the taste of the age group. For instance, if they find out that last year or for 5 consecutive years, we've had the youth patronizing our products a lot, then they will know that, okay, maybe it is about some sort of technology that they have introduced or they have used to manufacture their laptop that is helping the youth patronize. Then they will try and find out ways and means to build on it, build on whatever they are doing to attract the youth. They will build on it, maybe add some more softwares or some more applications that will help attract more youth to patronizing their products, you see. So the market research aspect is very, very, very important. And companies who are into electronic commerce do not joke with it at all. Now, Microsoft happens to be one of the companies which started this market research aspect of e-commerce. They have what they call profiling. And the profiling, as part of their policy of data collection, when customers purchase their products, they allow them to register online and they gather all the data and store it for further research. Organizations may purchase such data for their own research, or the people in the academia, like some of us, lecturers and people doing in school doing long essays or thesis, may be interested in getting data which will help them, conduct their research. And when you get to such companies which have gathered data that relates to your research, then you can have talks with them. Some of them may sell to you, but this selling of the data is something that a lot of people have argued that it is unethical, because the companies do take the data for free from their customers. So why should they also sell to others? But this is something that is subject to debate anyway. Then we move on to the third aspect of electronic commerce, which is EDI, electronic data interchange. EDI, electronic data interchange. Now, EDI is actually the means or the medium. This is the first medium that aided electronic commerce in the past. Before the introduction of the internet, EDI was the main software or system that helped with the conduct of electronic commerce. Now, when we talk about EDI, EDI is simply a structured transmission of data between organizations by electronic means. It's a structured transmission of data between organizations by electronic means. Now, EDI works more like a software, if I should put it that way. It helps, for instance, the organization's customers to place orders to the organizations direct. If you go to this particular software or system, as a customer of the organization, you can place your order and the organization will get it direct without the use of the internet. That is why I said it works like a software, and it helps reduce a lot of paperwork that the organization would have done into, electronic message, few electronic message. So EDI is a very, very important aspect of electronic commerce. So some organizations still use EDI. They use it to facilitate their business. They use it as a means of having, interactions with their customers, their suppliers, etc., etc. It is still in use by some organizations. Then we have another software called the Enterprise Resource Planning, shortened as ERP. This is also a very important aspect. It goes hand in hand with the EDI. It also works like a software. The organizations implement the software and it helps them to integrate all aspects of their business. It helps them integrate all aspects of their business. For instance, the finance department, marketing department, procurement department, etc. They all operate on this platform. So every department and whatever they are doing, they are all on the same platform. And it helps as a source of information to one department. For instance, if you work in the marketing department and maybe you want to know the budgets that the marketing department has been given for this year, you can maybe go to the finance aspect of the system and then get the information you need from there to help you with your planning, etc. So ERP is just like EDI. It is also a software which helps the organization to plan and integrate the whole business of the organizations to facilitate easy work, interaction, etc. within the organization. So this is also a very important aspect of electronic commerce. You can read, I have a lot of information on it. You can read on your own after class. Then we have another division of e-commerce, that is the email, fax, and internet telephony. Email, fax, and internet telephony. This is also another important aspect of e-commerce in the sense that now emails are, serving as one of the important means of getting data to clients of organizations. A lot of organizations do send you information about their company or their business to prospects, that is prospective clients, through the email. Sometimes you open your mail and then you see a company advertising, you see a mail on a company advertising their products. This is all part of e-commerce. Nowadays, fax is no longer in use. Fax has been overtaken by the high growth of the internet. So fax, even though it may be in use, but it is not so much in use like we have for the email and the internet telephony. Internet telephony too is also another means that organizations are using to reach a lot of customers at the same time. You receive phone calls, etc., bulk email, etc. They are all sent with the aid of this internet telephony. So this is email aspect. But then, you know, sometimes when you, if you look critically at this aspect of electronic commerce, you will see that most companies do send a lot of unsolicited ads that I've already told you. Sometimes you open your mail and they have those adverts on companies, etc., which have been sent to you. Some of them, normally, this is what we call the junk mail anyway, the junk mail. And if you open your mail, you see them plenty. And it's so annoying, or it can be very annoying sometimes. So what some of these email sites, what they have done, like Yahoo and Gmail, they have a place for junk mails or spam, so that all messages that they feel are junk mails or spam, they send it to the junk mail aspect of your email. So when you go to the junk mail or spam aspect of your email, you see a lot of adverts from companies there. And some of these mails, you know, some of these mails sometimes can be helpful. You may be in need of something that maybe at the very time that you need it, the company may have sent you information and you can contact them. Some of them too can be a source of, you know, this internet fraud. If you answer to some of these junk mails a lot, you may be duped if you are not careful. So you just have to be very, very careful when you are dealing with spam or junk mail. Now, sometimes too, you yourself, you the individual, you may opt to receive emails from some companies, especially if you are registering products that you bought online. If you are registering products that you bought online, the company may sometimes ask you if you would want them to send you some newsletters. If you tick yes, then they'll be sending you those newsletters. Those newsletters may come as, you know, they may come in your mail, this time not as spam, but as what we call the opt-in mail, opt-in email or opt-in mail, opt-in mail. The opt-in mail are those emails that you yourself have signed up for. Nobody forced you. You signed up to receive information about those particular, you know, companies. So that was the email, fax, and internet telephony aspect of e-commerce. Then we have security of business transactions. Of course, e-commerce is very concerned about the security of transactions online. And with the security of transactions, generally, we look at the security as a topic for both e-commerce and e-banking. So that is a topic we will get to. So I don't want to go deeper into that. All right. So we move on to e-business. E-business. And to start with, there has been a lot of debate about e-business and e-commerce. Some authors claim that e-commerce happens to be the bigger picture with e-business falling within. And some also came up with the fact that e-business happens to be the bigger picture with e-commerce falling within e-business. But research has shown that e-business is actually the broader subject, with e-commerce coming within or being part of e-business. So what do we mean by e-business? E-business is simply the conduct of business on the internet, including not only buying and selling, but also serving customers and collaborating with business partners, keeping in touch with business, family, and friends through Facebook, Twitter, name them, Facebook, Twitter, oh, why is it that today they're online, you know them, I won't go there, etc. Instagram, exactly, etc., etc. So e-business actually goes, is bigger. So when we say that it includes not only buying and selling. What we mean is that e-business is actually e-commerce itself, and then it also goes beyond e-commerce. I don't know if you are trying to get a picture if you are getting the picture I'm trying to create here. But e-business has to do, it does a lot more than e-commerce, in the sense that it goes beyond what e-business does, to the sense that even after selling, the relationship between the business and its customers is also something that e-business cares about. How the internal structures work, etc., is something that e-business cares about. So e-business is a bigger picture. Now, online banking. Online banking is an example of electronic business. Online banking. We have seen internet banking under e-commerce, and online banking, or you can even say that electronic banking itself is also an aspect of electronic business. Electronic commerce itself is an aspect of electronic business. So you see how broad electronic business is. It is very, very broad. Now, to better understand electronic business, we use four main models. We use four main models to explain the meaning of electronic business. And these models include business to business, or what we shortened as B2B. The second one is business to consumer, or what we shortened as B2C. The third one is consumer to business, or what we shortened as C2B. And the fourth and the last one is consumer to consumer, or what we shortened as C2C. These are the four main modules that are used to explain electronic business, and we are going to take them one after the other. Beginning with business to business, buying and selling, B2B buying and selling. Now, when we talk about business to business, we are looking at online electronic commerce, or you can simply say electronic commerce that takes place between businesses. Electronic commerce that takes place between businesses. That is business to business buying and selling. Now, day in and day out, we have businesses conducting business among themselves online. A lot of companies do business with other companies online. For instance, if UPSA happens to be in need of a particular software to maybe manage our examination on campus, and we want Oracle to, Oracle is a software company. We want Oracle to, do or develop a particular software which will suit our taste. And then we contact Oracle via the internet, and we do all the, all the transactions. Everything is done online. Remember, the transactions must be done online for it to qualify as business to business buying and selling, or for it to qualify as electronic business. If UPSA is to go to Oracle's office, maybe, let's say if Oracle were to have an office in Ghana and UPSA walks there physically to them in their office, that will not qualify as electronic business. It is electronic business, or it becomes electronic business when UPSA, for instance, contacts Oracle via the internet or online. They do all the collaborations, everything online. Payment is done through transfer. And then at the end of the day, Oracle delivers the software. The delivery of the product can be done physically. I've already told you this in the e-tailing. The delivery of the product can be done physically. So when all the business collaborations are done online, then it becomes business to business. So business to business, to sum it all, deals with businesses conducting business among themselves. That is online commerce transactions that occur between businesses. That is business to business buying and selling. Then we have another module, that is the second module, known as business to consumer. Business to consumer. Now, business to consumer buying and selling, this is the electronic commerce, or you can say electronic business that takes place between businesses and consumers. That is where businesses sell directly to consumers online. That is business to consumer, or B2C. Now, this is something, this module is something that has become popular nowadays. Now, if you go to Amazon, Jumia, Alibaba, Walmart, etc., these are all virtual stores. They are virtual stores. You go there, there are a lot of businesses which have advertised their products there to sell. So when you as a consumer or as a customer, you go there and you buy from any of the companies online, what you are doing or what takes place at that period is business to consumer. The business sells to the consumer, and that is called, and the consumer buys from the business. So this is what the business to consumer buying and selling means, where businesses sell to consumers, or you can say where consumers buy from businesses online. That is business to consumer. And we have two main types of business to consumer, two main types of business to consumer. We have what we call the pure click businesses. You know, we have two main types of business to consumer businesses, if you want to put it that way. We are just trying to look at how the organizations which provide services to consumers online. We have two main types of such organizations. We have what we call the pure click businesses, and then the brick and click, or the click and mortar businesses. Now, the pure click businesses, that is businesses which are into this B2C, the pure click type is those businesses which only exist online. That is, they do not have any physical location. You cannot go to any place and then locate a particular premises that belongs to this office or this company. All they do is that they exist online. They have their employees and everything working from online. So I tried to set an example with Uber transfer services in Ghana and other parts of the world. But then I don't know, if Uber has an office in Ghana, then it doesn't qualify. Here we are looking at pure businesses that only exist online. They only exist online. They don't have any form of physical premises or any form of physical location, because everything they do is online. In the advanced countries, we have a lot of financial institutions or banks which only operate online. They only exist online. Such businesses are examples of pure click businesses. Then we have the break and click, or the click and mortar businesses. These businesses are those businesses which exist online, and they also at the same time have physical locations. That is those businesses which operate online and they also operate in the brick and mortar institution. We can have lots and lots of examples of this. All the banks in Ghana are examples. All the banks, EcoBank, whatever. UPSA is an example. Legon is an example. I mean, so many examples we can cite for brick and mortar, because almost every company that we have in Ghana, especially, they have both physical presence and, online presence. So every company with a website, or with a Twitter account, or with a Facebook page, or with an Instagram, page, or whatever, they all fall under the brick and click, or click and mortar business. So these are the two types of is, hey, you guys, John Gray, I'm muting you. Do not come back. Don't unmute yourself. Okay, so that is it for the business to consumer. Then another module that can be used to also explain e-business is the consumer to business. Now, the consumer to business, or the C2B, is a direct opposite of the B2C. Now, this is where consumer sells, sorry, it should be selling, you correct the notes. This is where consumers sell products or services to businesses online. When consumers are doing the selling and businesses are purchasing or buying, then we have the consumer to business, electronic business being taking place. So, for example, if I have a property, let's say I have a house that I'm selling, and a particular bank happens to see my adverts online, and the bank contacts me online. We do all the collaborations online. They pay me through transfer to my bank accounts, and they come and inspect the property and they say they are interested in, and I hand over to them. What just took place will qualify as consumer business. I as a consumer, have sold my property to the bank, which is a business. So that is consumer to business buying and selling. Then we have the last module, which is consumer to consumer buying and selling. Now, this is by far the most popular. This is by far the most popular, because nowadays we have a lot of consumers trading with other consumers, especially with the introduction of apps that facilitate consumers to do business with other consumers. Now we have this as a very common thing that takes place almost every part of the world. Example, we have Tonaton, OLS, eBay, Google, Trade, Zubashop. No, Zubashop does not qualify. Zulup, there's also another Zulup or something. The Facebook with a lot of, platforms that people create and all that link up consumers to trade among themselves. All these are part of consumer to consumer electronic business. So if you have an item and then you want to sell the item, all you need to do is to advertise it on some of these platforms like OLS or OLS is now the GG, right? Yeah, GG. We have Tonaton, Google Trader. You advertise on these platforms, and you can have other consumers who are also interested contacting you, and then you take it from there. But it is not advisable for you to invite people to your home. I have been telling this to my students for so long now. Whenever you are using this consumer to consumer means of trading, do not invite people who call you that they are interested in the product. Do not invite them to your home, or do not invite them to a place that is, very quiet and you happen to be alone over there. Always make sure that you meet them in public spaces, public places, in public places. For instance, if you are selling your laptop and someone tells you that he or she is interested in buying, and then you go to, the person tells me, show me your house, and I'll come there, and you also show the person your house. No. What you need to do is to meet with a person in a public place. For instance, you can tell the person, oh, okay, then let's meet at the Westos Mall. When you meet at the Westos Mall, even at the car park, the person can check out the item, and then you do the exchange, you take your money, and each of you will part ways. But do not invite people to your home. That is not a very wise thing to do. And it's a very dangerous thing to do. you can find yourself in deep trouble. Okay, now let's try and then look at the relationship between e-business and e-commerce. Now, the relationship that exists between e-business and e-commerce are basically three. The first one is we say that electronic commerce has some degree of overlap with electronic business. Of course, it has some degree of overlap with electronic business because electronic commerce is an aspect of electronic business. So some of the things you see in electronic commerce are also in electronic business. So they are, because electronic commerce is within electronic business. So that's the first relationship we can define. The second is that electronic commerce is equals to electronic business. So we can say that electronic commerce is broadly equivalent to electronic business. Of course, we can also, define a relationship like that for them, because when you look at what goes into electronic commerce, it is not different from what goes into electronic business. Just that electronic business is a bit bigger or broader than electronic commerce. So that's the second relationship. Then the third and the last relationship we can have is that electronic commerce is a subset of electronic business. Electronic commerce is a subset of electronic business. We have electronic commerce being the bigger or the broader picture with, electronic business being the bigger or the broader picture with electronic commerce falling within electronic business. So these are the three relationships that we can define for electronic commerce and electronic business. Okay, so we will look at I have done the differences between electronic commerce and electronic business. I think it is also on the LMS. You can download and study it. I have specifically, sat down to categorize all the differences, and there are a lot. If you stay on it, if you look at it, it will help you a lot. So let me try and get that here. Okay. So we have, sorry. Oh. Okay, so we have the differences here. Now, we have already seen that electronic commerce involves commercial transactions done over the internet or with the aid of other softwares. And we've also seen that electronic business is the conduct of business processes on the internet, or also other softwares as well. Now, the first difference that we can think of is the fact that electronic commerce is the subset of electronic business. That's the first difference. We've already discussed that under the relationship. So electronic commerce is a subset of electronic business, whilst electronic business is the superset of electronic commerce. Electronic business is a superset of electronic commerce. That's the broader picture. Then, and the second difference is that electronic commerce is the use of electronic transmission medium that caters for buying and selling of products and services. So if you look at e-commerce critically from the perspective that it is the subset of electronic business, then you see that e-commerce is actually the buying and selling aspect of electronic business. That is why we are saying that electronic commerce uses electronic transmission mediums to cater for buying and selling of products and services. But electronic business goes beyond that. Electronic business, in addition, includes the exchange of information directly related to buying and selling of products. So it doesn't end with just buying and selling. It actually go forward. It actually entails the relationship that is kept after buying and selling of the products, etc., etc. Another difference is also that those activities which involves monetary transactions are termed as e-commerce. So anytime you are buying something online and you have to pay for it, then we say that you are undertaking electronic commerce. Whilst electronic business also has to do with that, but it also includes activities, not only the buying and selling, but also the procurement of the raw materials or the goods, customer education, looking for suppliers, etc. So e-business by all standards is the broader picture, of course. Then the fourth difference we can think of is the fact that e-business usually requires the use of just the website. E-commerce requires the use of just the website, but e-business involves the use of customer relationship management, ERP, that connect different businesses, etc. The reason why this is that, in the past, it used to be that e-commerce was also into the use of other softwares, etc. But now with the growth of the internet, e-commerce focuses on the use of only, the internet as the main medium. But when it comes to e-business as a whole, then it combines all the other softwares together with the internet to undertake transactions with customers. We can also think of the fact that e-commerce covers outward-facing processes that touch customers, suppliers, and external partners, whilst e-business covers internal processes. So e-commerce is mostly about interacting, or is all about interacting with customers, suppliers, and other external partners. It doesn't look at what goes on internally in the organization, but e-business does what e-commerce does, plus it also looks at all the internal processes before the product even reaches the customer. Then e-commerce just involves buying and selling of products and services, but e-business includes all kinds of pre-sale and post-sale efforts. E-commerce is a narrower concept and restricted to buying and selling, but e-business is a broader concept that involves market survey, supply chain. So you see here, you remember the divisions we looked at under e-commerce. We talked about the market research, etc. That was before e-business was not a concept that people actually paid focus on. People actually, considered that as an aspect of e-commerce. But now research has shown that e-business is actually the broader picture. So now, critically speaking, e-commerce has now become the buying and selling aspect of e-business, whilst e-business takes charge of all the other divisions of e-commerce that we have looked at, like the market research, internet, telephony, whatever, maintaining customer relationships, etc. Now, e-business has taken over all, because e-business is now the broader picture, with e-commerce being an aspect of e-business. Okay, we also another difference we can think of is that e-business is more appropriate in business to consumer context. That is, when it comes to businesses selling to consumer, then e-business becomes more appropriate, and e-commerce becomes more appropriate. But with e-business, it is used in the context of business to business, mostly when businesses are doing businesses with each other. We see that as electronic business. E-commerce involves the mandatory use of the internet. E-commerce involves the mandatory use of the internet, whilst e-business can involve the use of the internet, the intranet, and the extranet. This is a topic we'll look at next week. That's the electronic commerce channels. We'll look at that. Then the last one is buying of pen drive. That's an example I just gave. I mean, you can read that on your own. So these are some of the differences between electronic business and electronic commerce. All right, so let's see a bit about the history of electronic commerce. We will look at the history of electronic commerce a bit. Today, I'm not feeling that well, so I just want to finish and then I can rest. Now, looking at the history of electronic commerce, in fact, electronic commerce started with electronic data interchange and electronic funds transfer being the main medium that helped electronic commerce to take place. In the past, when there was no internet came not so long ago. In fact, the world witnessed the acceptance of the WWW, that's the World Wide Web, in the year 1990. But even after it was developed in 1990, it took 4 more years for the internet protocols to be developed. So the internet actually started working from 1994-95. So the internet has not been with us for that long. But e-commerce has been with us for so long. And in those days, in the days before the birth of the World Wide Web, e-commerce took place with the aid of electronic data interchange. That is the software that enabled companies to trade with their customers and their suppliers. And electronic funds transfer was used to transfer money whenever items were bought or whenever business was conducted. Electronic funds transfer was the main transfer mode that was used. So that is how e-commerce started. Then these two, as I've already, they were both, used in the 1970s. Then when the world witnessed the growth of electronic cards, that is ATM, and then telephone banking coming into the scene, e-commerce was even taken to a different level, a higher level, because now people could buy and then pay with their electronic cards, and it made buying electronically very easy. Then came the airline reservation system, where clients of the various airlines could reserve, or could do bookings online before the day of their travel. So this also came to heighten the e-commerce market. Now, if you wanted to travel, you didn't have to go physically to buy tickets and then come and wait till the day. You could just book your tickets and everything online. And during the day of your travel, you just go to the airport and you are good to go. Then in the year 1990, it actually started from 89. In the year 1989, this man called Tim Berners-Lee, he wrote a paper on the World Wide Web browser, And this paper was finally adopted and accepted in the year 1990. So in the year 1990, that is when the world saw the birth of the WWW. That's the World Wide Web, or the internet, in the year 1990. But the internet could not function because at the time, there was nothing like the protocols which had been developed. Internet functioned with protocols. So it took 4 more years for those protocols to be developed. So the internet actually started full operation from the year 1994. 1994. Now, when the internet was introduced, that is around 95, 96, a lot of companies started conducting electronic commerce, that is via the internet online. And so many companies were also afraid because this was something new. They didn't know what was going to happen. Should they go into it? But some companies were bold enough to take the first step. Companies like Dell Computers, they were one of the first companies to have engaged in electronic commerce with the introduction of the internet. And when they went into it, by the year 1997, they reported that every day they were receiving orders of $1 million per day, orders of $1 million per day. And this was something that went beyond imagination. Other companies all of a sudden realized that they have been missing out. So a lot of them started also going into the electronic commerce. So by 1999, 2000, most companies had, gone into e-commerce and they were using the internet to transact business online. Now, there's a timeline here I have provided. I have provided you with a timeline. It shows us when a particular item or a particular thing was invented, etc. I'll just go through one or two and then we proceed with the rest of the class. Now, in 1979, for instance, Michael Aldrich, one man called Michael Aldrich, invented what we call the online shopping. And at the time, the World Wide Web had not been born. So they were using mainly the EDI, Then in 1984, Gateshead, it happened to be the first business to consumer online shopping. And one woman called Mrs. Noble, who was 72, was the first to have done the online shopping. That is to shop from her home. Then in 1985, Nissan UK sold cars via online. In 1990, Tim Berners-Lee wrote, his World Wide Web paper was adopted and accepted in 1990. And in 1994, Netscape released the Navigator browser in October under the code name of Mozilla. There's a whole lot. I can't go through all. In 1998, Alibaba Group was established in China. In 2003, Amazon post first yearly profits in 2003. Then in 2011, we come to Ghana now. In 2011, U-Go-Deal, which happened to be the first virtual mall in Ghana, was launched in October. This happened to be the first online shopping website. It was a virtual mall. It allowed most companies in Ghana to, have their products online to enable customers to buy online. And mainly the means of payment was the use of mobile money and eSwish, as well as bank details of the customers. And in between 2012, 2014, there were a lot of websites which facilitated online business, like buytoghana.com was launched, Google Trade was launched, Tonaton, OLS, etc. See, I have taught this course for long. I have taught this course since 2010. And as I started teaching this particular course, the first year I taught this course, Ghana, we didn't have any virtual mall. So I always use the Amazon, eBay as my examples. Until in 2011, I was listening to TV3 News and I heard the first, virtual mall being launched in Ghana called the U-Go-Deal. Then I also saw the coming into being of the OLS, Tonaton, Google Trade between 2012, 2014. So every year as I taught this course, my notes were updated. And now we have a lot. They are uncountable. We have Jumia, we have whatever, name them. They are uncountable. Okay. Now, in the United Kingdom happens to be one of the world's biggest e-commerce marketplace. When we measure their e-commerce market and e-commerce transactions in terms of the amount spent per capita. Now, in UK, for instance, in 2012 to 2015, their internet economy grew by 10%. It grew by 10%, and every year it keeps on growing. If you go to China, for instance, their e-commerce presence continue to expand day in and day out. Now, China, even around 2009, their e-commerce markets rose to 36.6 billion US dollars. And day in and day out, they keep on increasing. They have over 380, even now they have more than 400 million internet users in China. So they have a very big marketplace in the world. Okay, so this brings us to the end of the overview of electronic commerce. And I will end this class with a quote from John Dewey. And he says that education is not preparation for life. Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. Education is life itself. So whatever you are doing, what you need to know is that whatever life you are living with your educational life, that is the kind of life you are building. So if you are not being serious with your education, then that is the kind of life you are building for the future. It means you won't be a serious person. You cannot get anywhere. That is the kind of life you are. But if you have taken your education seriously, then it means that you are going to be a serious and a successful person too in life. Because the education is the only thing that can bridge the gap between the various classes that we have in our society. So when you are fortunate to have education, you need to utilize it well. At this point, I'll take questions from you. If you have any question, you can ask. Raise your hand, I'll call you. If you don't have questions too, then okay. Linda, you can.
Madam, please. Madam, please, I wanted to ask how e-commerce overlaps with e-business, because since everything that is done in e-commerce is under e-business, I don't see how
There's an overlap because e-business, e-business and e-commerce is an aspect of e-business, but e-business is bigger, or it goes beyond e-commerce. So whatever is done, the reason why we are saying there's an overlap is that whatever is in e-commerce is in e-business. Do you get it?
So you see that the relationship that was illustrated, there were three. The third one, it showed that e-business is inside e-commerce.
Before you come in, let me tell the relationship. I have tried to make it three, but the relationship is only one if you critically look at it. The fact that e-business is the broader picture and e-commerce is within e-business. But you see, you try to break it down a bit so that by the time you get to that, then you understand, students understand what you are really talking about. That's why we started with there's an overlap, and then we said they are equivalent before we got to the fact that there's e-business is the broader picture with e-commerce falling within e-business.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes. Welcome. Any other question? Okay, let me ask you, on campus, are they giving the injection, the vaccination? Are they doing it on campus?
No, madam.
No, madam.
No, we are not sure, madam.
Pardon?
No, please.
Man, do you have information as to when they will come and do campus on?
No, please.
Okay.
No, madam.
Okay, but I hope you are aware that this first vaccines are for health workers, aged, students, teachers, students who are above 18 years, and teachers. Yes.
Madam, I'm 17.
Okay, if you are 17, then you cannot take it. It is from students who are above 18 years. So if you are 18 years and above, keep quiet. If you are 18 years and above, when it gets to your area or any place you see that they are giving the shot, try and go for yours. It is very, very important. Don't listen to what people are saying about the fact that it is going to kill us. They are all lies. Vaccination is something that has been with us for a long time, just that when it is at the early stage like this, people express some sort of fear because of the reactions that they may get. You know, everybody and their system. Somebody may take the shot and for a shorter period experience some body ache. It is normal. Somebody may take it and maybe experience running stomach. It is normal. Every drug and its side effects. Even the paracetamol that we take has a side effect. You get it? So don't put fear in you that this when I take it, I'll die. No. Rather, before you take the shot, just pray. You pray to God that, dear Lord Jesus, I'm going to take this. If you're a Muslim too, you pray to Allah that as you are going to take the vaccination, God should protect you so that nothing bad happens to you, because this is the only way we can avoid being infected by coronavirus. I hope that is okay. Hey, no response.
Yes, madam.
So you won't. You've decided you won't take the shot.
Yes, madam.
You
No,
won't
no,
take
take
it.
it.
You guys should be even the people
Madam,
to
we
ask
won't take it.
Hey, you won't take
Madam,
it.
please, is it compulsory?
Madam, according to research,
I'll be the last person to take
you
it.
need to take the vaccination. Likely you can get the virus again if you don't prevent yourself.
Yeah,
You
you can
see,
get it.
the reason why there's a likelihood you can get a virus, you see, in medicine, right? In medicine, when drugs or vaccines are being tested, normally the confidence level that is accepted is 99.99. That is for you to be rest assured that this is 100%, you know, it's going to prevent the whole thing altogether. Like, for instance, you take the yellow fever shots, you take the hepatitis B. I have taken, if you travel, once you travel, vaccination is something that you do a lot. I took the hepatitis B, I took the yellow fever. I've taken all, even it is this year that my yellow fever and hepatitis B shots are expiring, and I'll go and renew. I'll go and take the shots again, because without them, you cannot travel. Whenever you are traveling, you need to show your certificate. And now the same thing has also happened to the COVID-19, the vaccination. Once you are vaccinated, you are given a card. If you are travel, any part of the world that from today you'll be traveling to, they will request for the COVID-19 card. If you don't show it, you cannot travel. So it's a very serious thing. Once you have plans of traveling, you need to get yourself vaccinated. Plus, you know the drug, because of how the world was hit by the coronavirus. It is something that was unplanned. I mean, nobody planned there was going to be a virus that will become pandemic like this. So the research as to the particular vaccination to use was not something that was done. it is just within a space of some few months that scientists had to come up with a combination of, they have a term, they have some terms they use. I mean, I am not a scientist, so pardon me if I don't get the terms right. But what I know is that they used some shorter period to come up with this vaccination. I hope you know the history. It was a black woman from United States who discovered this vaccine. I hope you know that. So if you feel the vaccine is going to kill blacks, then know that it was a black woman who discovered it. So if a black woman, not even a black woman, she's 34 years, a young woman, a black young woman discovered the combination for the vaccination. So if you think it is going to kill us, then the black woman is going to kill all blacks. You see, people are coming up with a lot of theories that they are going to kill blacks. But I'm telling you that the combination that the various pharmaceutical companies in the world are using for the vaccination was discovered by a black American woman. She discovered it.
The vaccines, they have different types.
I'm talking about the combination for the vaccination. The combination, that's the ingredient or whatever chemical reaction component. That's what I'm talking about. And then the various pharmaceutical companies have taken that chemical combination that she discovered to manufacture the vaccines. We don't have various types of the vaccines. So the vaccine is one, just that it is produced by various companies. Yeah, okay. It is one, produced by various pharmaceutical companies. I hope you get me.
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
Yes. So because of the shorter period, they needed something to help. And then all of a sudden, God helped. This woman was able to discover the combination. And it is now, let's say, 95%. There's a 95% chance that if you take this shot, you will not be infected by coronavirus. So the likelihood of you being infected, you know, in research, we have the confidence level. You have done research or you are now doing research methodology. You learn about confidence level. We have 90 degree, 95. So this drug, we are saying that we can confidently say that once you take the shot, there's a 95% chance that you will not be infected by coronavirus. There's a 95%. So why are you guys focusing on the 5% chance? Because the greater part of 95%, it means, you see, if we take every 100 people who will take the shots, only 5 people are likely to get reinfected. That's the meaning. Do you get it? Only 5 people. If 100 people take the drug today, out of the 100, only 5 people are likely to have been vaccinated and they will still get coronavirus infection. Then 95% will not get. That's the meaning. So my dear people, do not be deceived. Those people who are out there claiming all sorts of things. You see, this coronavirus is not something that we joke with. It is something that we all want to do away with. Initially, we all had our own, reservations. But then after doing a lot of reading and listening to people and scientists and all that, it is, I mean, why? Why is it not better to be 95% protected than to fall within the 0% group? I mean, is it not better for you to be 95% sure you are not likely to get than to fall within the 0%? That's why they say that if you take the shot, you may never know if you fall within the 5%. So still wear your nose mask. It doesn't mean that if you take the shot, you are going to get a disease. There's a likelihood some people can get the disease again, even after taking the shot. And that is what I've explained, that it is only the 5% people. Out of 100, 95 will not get. 5% are likely to be reinfected. And this 5%, we don't know who and who fall within that 5%. That's why you are saying still wear your nose mask. It doesn't mean you will get a disease if you get yourself infected. And because you don't know that you fall within the 95 or the 5%, That's why you just protect yourself. Polio started like that. It killed a lot of people. Measles started like that. Yellow fever started like that. Hepatitis B started like that. Influenza started like that. But later on, after they developed the vaccines, now the world has been able to do away with all these diseases. When children are born, right from the baby stage, right from day one, they are given shots. All these vaccines were they not manufactured from abroad?
Yes.
Yes. So it is better to protect yourself than to be deceived. Now it is free. By the time it's coming, it will not be free. The time is coming, you have to pay for it. Okay, so we'll end our class here. We'll meet next week, God willing. If I'm okay, I'll meet you face to face. If I'm not okay, we'll meet again online. Whatever be the case, I'll let you know. I wish you all the best. Enjoy your day, okay?
God bless you.
God bless you too, my dears.